Hey there, horror movie tea sippers.
The following podcast episode will contain spoilers for the movie we are about to review. If you have not seen the movie and do not wish to have anything ruined prematurely, please do not continue to watch or listen until you have seen the movie.
And welcome to the Horror Movie Tea Podcast. Today we are covering Jesus Christ, Vampire Hunter.
I don't know why y'all hate me.
That's right. And wait, who was this requested by? Or was this JD or V?
It was
or
one
both?
of the two, and they both hate me.
They don't hate you.
Feels like it with their requests sometimes.
But before
Came out in 2001.
Yes, though I'm pretty sure this is the only movie called that.
Probably.
Yep. But before we go into the review, let's grab our cups and talk about tea. So, I am drinking the Plum Deluxe Strawberry Honeysuckle Black Tea. It's got black tea, strawberry pieces, raspberry leaf, calendula, honeysuckle essence, and it does have much needed caffeine. Ooh.
And I am drinking Bigelow's Perfectly Mint classic tea. And it's got black tea and spearmint. So, that's all you need.
I just realized that your wind guard is, like, on the mic. Hold, please.
It moves sometimes. I can't help it. There, it's good.
Okay, thank you.
Happy?
Yeah, so happy. But, once again, as always, thank you so much, Plum Deluxe, for allowing us to continue to do what we love. And then, of course, for our wonderful tea sippers out there, brew yourself a cup of tea, sit back, relax, and we hope you enjoy the review. Oh man, this is going to be a review. So, the summary for Jesus Christ, Vampire Hunter. Kind of hard to summarize this one. I mean, it kind of summarizes itself. We are in present day. There are vampires and occasionally atheists. Thank you. And Jesus Christ has apparently come back, but he changes to modern clothes.
Eventually.
And a modern haircut.
Eventually.
And fights them off. And it's really more your typical action movie towards the end. So, when things get going. But anyways, so for entertainment. You guys know me. I love my share of dumb movies. And I really wanted to love this one. I had seen the trailer. I'm like, oh, this is going to be amazing. It's so funny. And while it started off pretty entertaining, for how long was the movie? Was it an hour?
Hour and a
minutes?
half.
Yeah. For that length of movie, the jokes get tiring pretty quickly.
If I recall correctly, it was an hour and 25 minutes and change.
So, for sure, by like the half of it, by like halfway through, I'm like, okay, when is this movie going to end? But like, blah, blah, blah. The effects were pretty terrible. Well, okay, let me back up. I don't think I said my rating. I would give this a 3. Mainly because it just... You can have a bad movie that's good and entertaining, but you have to make sure...
I am surprised at you. I am surprised and proud.
Oh my god. Well, I'm explaining why. It's because the storytelling really wasn't very good.
Fair.
And like, me and Jess both were like, when is this movie going to end? End my suffering, please.
Yes, especially toward the end.
And for someone like me who watches these movies all the time, really enjoys them, that says a lot.
She specifically looks for these kind of movies and loves them.
Yes. But, like, the whole thing, like, Velocipaster, because I feel like these two compare pretty closely to each other as far as, like, the stupidity level goes. And, yes, the effects of Velocipaster were far worse. But the story, while stupid, was at least more interesting and entertaining, because it was
and put together.
And plus, they didn't feel the need to make it a full hour and a half.
Yeah.
It's actually, I think it's like an hour and 10 minutes or something.
I think so. Something like that. It was closer to an hour.
Yeah, it's like, do not fill up a movie just to make it an hour and a half. Mm-hmm. If all you have is an hour's worth of content, make it an hour's worth of content, because otherwise it drags all of the good parts down whenever you have your audience just waiting for the film to end. So it's like, I really wanted so much more in this film. It started off fantastic, and then I got worse and worse. But it's mainly because it's boring. It's just, it wasn't compelling at all.
We didn't care.
Yeah. But yeah, the costuming is better than Velocipaster.
Which isn't saying much.
But not by a whole lot. I thought it was kind of funny that they had, like, cartoon noises for the fight scenes. But I feel like, on the one hand, it's like, yes, that's funny. But whenever you have your final epic battle, it kind of loses the gusto of, like, how important that scene is.
It can.
It's like, yeah, if you're having, like, a slapstick scene and you want it to be stupid, then add those fight scenes or those noises, those cartoon noises. But when it's your final battle, like, kind of shift the tone a little bit. Oh man. Yeah, so I almost wanted to give the entertainment a 0 just because Jesus had mismatched socks. That, no.
That was the best part, because you were freaking out so much over his mismatched socks, and it made me laugh so hard.
Symmetry. I need symmetry.
You know, this is the one time in the last several recording sessions that I've come over here in sandals, so I didn't bring any socks. Every other time I've come over here, I've purposely brought mismatched socks just to mess with you. You almost never notice. But I do it anyway.
I'm glad I don't notice.
It's the little things in life.
But I will say, the person that they picked for Jesus, while I don't look at him and be like, oh, he looks like Jesus, he did have the Jesus voice.
He did.
Like, the way he talked, I'm like,
fair.
Okay, I can believe that's Jesus. He had a very good voice. And, oh man. And then the technology that they had, like the cell phones and I forgot what else, but that really dated the movie extremely. Which, I mean, there's nothing wrong with that, but it just,
The Nokia?
Yeah, it definitely makes you realize that it's a early 2000s movie.
Yes.
If not, like, a late 90s.
Yeah.
Like, who knows when they filmed it versus when they released it.
True. They said they worked 2 years on it.
Oh, okay. Oh, yeah, on weekends.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they filmed it for 2 years on weekends. That's right.
Mm-hmm.
The audio for this movie is kind of strange. First, the soundtrack felt completely mismatched.
Mm-hmm.
None of the songs were, like, cohesive. They were just, like, very random songs that didn't really add. Like, there's a musical number at the beginning.
There's a couple.
Oh, I just knew of the one.
I feel like there's 2.
And then they had, like, a random... Like, they had some songs that were obviously dedicated to the film, and then others that I think were just, like, your normal, like, stock type of music. But it was just so weird. It's like, if you're going to have a musical number, then stick with the music. 'Cause I thought that, I'm like, oh, goody, it's going to be a musical about Jesus fighting vampires. That would be freaking hilarious. But then they, like, stopped.
Yeah.
It's like they didn't really they didn't fully think about, like, what they wanted to do with this movie.
I'm not gonna lie, I died a little inside when they started that musical number, but it confused me more that they didn't continue it.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah, it's like,
stick with it. Pick one.
Yeah, pick one, exactly. And then besides that, the audio itself of the actors talking, there is very obvious that there were quite a few parts, like half the movie, if not more, where they dubbed over their voices. And the way that one of the easiest ways to tell is whenever it's not dubbed over, you can clearly hear the background, which, to be fair, it is common for films. Like, if they get bad audio, they'll have the actor dub over what they said. But the problem with this movie is they dubbed over it horribly, and so there were quite a few cases where
it was like a badly dubbed kung fu movie.
Yeah, like they were talking and the lips weren't matching.
Yeah.
So it's like, it's okay to have to dub over. Like, honestly, for these kind of budget movies or lower budget, I feel like that's more optimal than trying to get good audio when you don't have the, budget for good equipment, like a lot of Hollywood filmmakers have. But it's like almost have two recordings, so that way you can get the inflections of the actor, and then that way the actor can hear themselves and then repeat it. It's just, it seemed like maybe they're just telling the actor to re-say the line, and the actor said it slightly differently than they did in the filming process. There
were times when they didn't even say the same words.
Oh, man.
Because, like, it was not just off sync. When you read their lips, they said a different word.
Oh, man.
On occasion. They mostly said the same thing, but it would just be like a different word here and there that it's completely off. So it wasn't just an inflection thing, which made it so much worse.
Yeah. Yeah. And then this is more, not a nitpick, but more confusion, is they talked about lesbians a lot in this movie. Like, the vampires needed lesbians for some reason.
Specifically, yeah.
And they don't, I think they kind of explained it.
If they did, I missed it.
But it wasn't that clear. It's something about, like, their blood being more healing, or
they were using their skin and grafting their skin onto them, like a part of their skin.
To try and
to be daywalkers.
Yeah. But it's like, fine, have the story focus heavily on lesbians. That's fine. That's not my problem. My problem is the fact that you don't explain it to where it feels like an integral part of the story. Almost the entire time, it felt like they're just talking about lesbians to talk about lesbians.
Yeah.
Like, it didn't really feel like it added anything to the story at all. So that is, like, I feel like they could have been a lot stronger. And then I will say the one positive thing, well, one of the few positive things about this movie is it does make you realize how stupid vampire weaknesses are.
Yeah.
Because the fact that they mention, or they kill vampires with, like, a stake, with a crucifix, with holy water, but they find creative ways.
Garlic breath.
Yeah, garlic. Yeah, they find creative ways to kill the vampires. They're like, the stake, a vampire got killed with a toilet plunger, the wooden part. And and then the holy water, they made the lake holy water. And just, like, and then the crucifix, Jesus took two windshield wipers and made it a crucifix, or a cross. So that, I will say, was pretty clever. And I feel like if they really leaned on that and then had a lot a more cohesive story and a stronger storytelling, then this movie would be like a really good like B movie to watch. But
It would have certainly been funnier.
yes. Yes, like it's frustrating because this is budget constraints aside, because I completely understand you can only have so many effects and all of that. But budget constraints aside, the storytelling, if the storytelling was stronger and it had more flow and it kind of took away those boring bits by maybe taking out scenes that didn't need to be there, this actually would have been a really funny movie that I probably would watch repeatedly just because it's hilarious. Like the whole scenario of Jesus Christ fighting vampires. But as it stands right now with how they did it, I'll maybe watch it one more time, and if I do, probably not all the way through. I'll be fast forwarding all of the boring parts. But I wanted to love this so bad, but
She really tried.
I can't. So, but that's my take.
So we're the samesies
Oh,
on entertainment. It's
what
a
is
free-
happening to us?
I know. You're getting more cynical. Come to the dark side. No, I tried not to hate it as much. Because I knew I was going to hate it. But I tried not to hate it as much. And it wasn't quite as bad as some of the others we've seen, like Lamageddon, Poltergeist. It's kind of about on par with Velocipaster for me.
Yeah.
There's so much inconsistency with this movie, and the writing just was not very solid at all. And there were just so many scenes that were just boring and dragged on forever. Like the atheist fight. That took way too long. Okay, yeah, have a few rounds of fighting. Sure, that was kind of funny. But by round 6...
Yeah, you're like, please make this end.
Like, enough is enough. I get it. You had fun filming fight scenes at a park. That was cool. It was fun. Everyone had a great time. Move on.
Yeah.
It's enough. So they drag on like the club they went to. I don't even really remember most of that scene. I kind of blanked. Like I zoned out completely. That's how boring that scene was and how it took forever to get through that scene. I just did not care. They don't really make you care about the characters either. Not really. So it just... They were inconsistent with a lot of the vampire mythology. Some things worked, some things didn't. And it was very inconsistent on when it would work. The costuming and all was... I get you were on a budget. I get that. But again, some things were decent and other things were like, why did you choose this?
I feel like some of it was on purpose, though.
I'm sure, but it didn't make that much sense.
Yeah, like the priest that was like all...
Biker dude?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and if you're going to do something like that, completely unexpected all the time, then lean into it.
Yeah. Don't make it a one-off thing.
Lean into it and follow through.
Yeah.
Make that be a thing.
Yeah.
That's commonplace in that universe or whatever. Don't just have a one-off and leave it at that and everybody else is what you're expecting normally.
Yeah. Makes it more confusing.
Yes. It's just whatever you could find at the thrift store at that point. Mm-hmm. So it didn't make that much sense. And they keep meandering off the storyline and finally finding their way back, but it takes way too long for it to find its way back to it. The deaths are absolutely ridiculous, which, again, you can lean into it, but they were inconsistent because some of them were really quick and all, and they made sense. Others were lengthy and ridiculous and took forever. So pick one. Just pick one. But overall, it was just kind of boring and dull. I feel like I blocked out most of the movie. Just vague Passover.
Yeah, and it sucks because it's like just the title alone just automatically piques my interest. And then to have it be this boring is just a huge disappointment.
Honestly, what's funny is I feel like this one could have been all right to me if, like you said, the story was a little stronger.
Yeah.
If they cut out a lot of the BS that was unneeded and nobody cares about and just got to the point.
Yeah.
It could have been okay. It definitely still would have been a B movie. For sure. But I wouldn't have entirely hated it. Right now, it's a big blah.
Yeah. Yeah. But anything else for entertainment for you?
No, I'm done.
So, Realism is going to be very short for me. I feel like I was a little bit generous on paper, so I will revise that.
Yeah, on paper, you were super generous there.
Yeah, because now I'm thinking comparing it to Urban Legend. I mean, it's definitely worse than Urban Legend. I did Urban Legend a 3. So,
And to be fair, a lot of their effects in Urban Legend were great. Like, the blood consistency and everything was great.
yeah. So I'm going to give this... Oh, wait. Oh, it's a point. It's a period.
Okay.
Never mind.
That makes it a lot better.
I will keep my rating.
I agree with that one, actually.
I will give this a 0.5. Almost every single situation, the fights, from the wounds to the deaths, almost anything you can think of is realistic and is unrealistic and ridiculous. The blood was way too runny, way too orange. Whenever they had the surgery, they literally put, it looked like plastic parts or something in the body and
wires.
Yeah, and
clothespins.
Like, if you're on a budget, you could, like, on my mind, I know this would be nasty, but on a budget, you could always buy, like, one of those whole chickens that has all of the guts, and then just, take out the guts and be like, there they are.
You also have dinner at that point.
Yeah, yeah, it's like, so it's like, I feel
Win-win.
like there were, and I'm sure for, like, theater props and stuff like that they have their own tricks to make, like, guts looking decent. So I feel like there were a lot better alternatives that they could have
Grab a few sausage links at that point. Like, it's...
Yeah, like, honestly, the person looked more like a robot than an actual person with all of the stuff that they put in there.
Yeah.
But yeah, this movie is extremely unrealistic.
It's bad.
And, I mean, to be fair, these types of movies, I don't really think the realism pulls them down too much. It was kind of funny with the guts. It's like, oh, it's obviously not really guts. But the blood was a little bit distracting, I will say. It looked like they used Kool-Aid or something. But that's all I have for realism for me. It's kind of hard to nitpick because it's like the whole
everything
thing
is bad.
Yeah.
Like, I didn't give it a 0 because they used people.
You almost made me spew my tea.
There are humans in it doing human things. But everything else is bad. So 0.5 is a fair assessment. Yes, I agree. It's a 0.5 for realism. Can we also please talk about when he's showing what should be a wound from the nail?
And it looks like an eyeball.
It looks like the kid's squishy eyeball.
Yeah, I don't know.
Party favor kind of eyeballs.
I wish we would have gone back and looked closer at the wound.
Oh my god, I laughed so hard at that. It looked like a freaking squishy kid's toy eyeball thing that they stuck onto the middle of his hand, and it was just kind of hanging there.
It's like, it'd be more realistic if
So
they had put, like red paint.
Yes.
Yeah.
Even that would have been better.
Yeah.
But, like, if they wanted to make it a bit more realistic, they could have also put, like, I know this would be kind of gross, but, like, chunky peanut butter. And then put, like, the food-dyed cornstarch kind of, or not cornstarch, corn syrup mixture over it to cover it. Because that would give you the chunky texture, but it would also help with the coloring, too.
Yeah.
And make it look more ragged.
Or you can even buy, like, fake flesh.
Yeah, you could.
Yeah.
And
like,
it's not that expensive either. Especially if you get it, like, right after Halloween when everything's on clearance.
Yeah, and the fact that it took them 2 years to film and they only filmed on the weekends, they could have hunted down a lot of the sales.
Well, hell, they could have done, like, a papier-mâché kind of thing with newspaper and glue.
Yeah.
Made it all kind of wonky and rigid and everything, and then painted over it.
Yeah.
And it would have taken about 10 minutes.
This is why I'm curious for us to make a movie, because it's like, with both of our brains together...
Both of us combined.
And V's intel, we will be unstoppable.
With V's chaos and our ingenuity. We would be a formidable force. If we could get anything done.
Yeah. We would probably just stand there talking for like 5 hours and be like,
probably.
Get just 15 minutes of footage.
Right, we're supposed to be doing this thing.
Like, oh, shit. Yeah,
that's why it took them 2 years.
Oh, my goodness.
But that's basically it. Like, the whole movie was just a big miss.
Yeah, and it, like I said, it's disappointing because I feel like it really could have been so much more, but with the poor storytelling and doing what we felt like were filler scenes, and then having so many inconsistencies, like, is it a musical? Is it like, divert your expectations because the priest is a biker guy, and it just...
Are you going to have consistent deaths? No.
Yeah, it's like, have like a repeating joke. And like, especially like the way that the vampires got killed, like, I feel like they didn't introduce that until like later down the movie. It's like, it would have been hilarious for them to start off with that out the gate.
And like, nothing was synced, not just the words, but even a lot of the sound effects, like the biting especially.
Yes.
Was so inconsistent on when the bite sound would happen.
Yeah.
So they also had some missed opportunities. Like in the beginning when they first show Jesus and they don't have him walk on the water.
Yeah.
I feel like that was a missed opportunity, I'm not gonna lie.
just have like a glass box. Just have a glass box that he like walks in. Like an acrylic box. Like that's the low budget movies do that trick all the time.
You could find even like a fish tank or something at a garage sale, or just scrap yards or something. You could have found something.
Yeah. It just needs to be clear and stable.
Yes. So
it was kind of funny though when he like pushed the girl that he was baptizing in the water. He's just like, go away, you.
We're done here.
Yeah. Like, it's just, this movie frustrates me so much because it's like, it starts off so well, but then it felt like they were changing what they wanted out of the movie. Mm-hmm. And
I don't think they decided what they wanted it to be.
Yeah. And the problem with any movie, whether it be low budget or not, is you have to have a solid foundation on what you want the movie to be. Mm-hmm. Like, I felt like in the beginning, them like diverting expectations and then having Jesus like be more modern looking and stuff like that. That could have really worked if they kept that all the way through, and then they could have additional jokes with like the way that the vampires died and stuff like that. It's just... There's so much that they could have done, like, not that big of changes, honestly, that would make this movie so much more entertaining and less boring. It's just, yeah. So, for me personally, if you want to watch a dumb movie, I would say...
There are others out there.
Yeah, I mean, there are others out there. I'd say it's worth one watch, But if you do, to watch it with plenty of friends, because it is a little bit of a drag to get through. You're going to want someone to talk to. But
if you have to watch it,
yes,
watch it with people.
but honestly, if you kind of like this idea, even though I know Jess doesn't like it, I would say go with the Velocipaster, because it made the movie shorter. It didn't try and extend it to a regular movie length. And it really leaned into the fact that the effects were terrible. Like, they knew what kind of movie they were making, and they leaned into it, which I feel like is why I personally enjoyed it all the way through. Because it's like, I like those dumb movies, and they leaned into that and kept it consistent all the way through. While this one is just all over the place for me.
Both are bad. And personally, I don't think either of them are worth a watch. But if you had to pick one, go with Velocipaster.
But thank you, everyone who joined us today. And please comment on what you thought of the movie. If you'd like to recommend a movie, game, or tea, and keep up to date with our content, you can find us on YouTube, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and most places that you listen to podcasts.
And if you'd like to support the podcast, please subscribe, like, and share our content. If you'd like to support us monetarily, we do have our Teespring with more merch available, and our PayPal. We also have our affiliate link with Plum Deluxe, of course. Again, it does not affect the price of the tea at all. It just allows us to continue to do what we love. And you can find all of the sites mentioned linked down below. And until the next time, guys, stay safe and stay spoopy. Bye!